Hey everyone and welcome. And today we're going to be talking about the Pearce C9. So over here we can see a little bit more of the analysis team at the club has done for us and how they've broken it down for us. So let's go a little bit more into detail right over here. So here we can see a little bit more of the Pearce C9 and a little bit more of like maybe what's to come for it or what is to come for it. So over here we can see a little bit of the whole tank, so make a note of that. This is something very interesting we're going to talk about just now. Can see a couple of turrets, super big ones and smaller ones that are along the sides, and then what seems to be a radar down here as well. It also looks like there's two sections where control is being had or being done. Like here might be a little bit more of where they give information as to what's coming in front, and then here's where they would actually control everything that's basically going on. So over here we can see a little bit more of just the Pearce C9 and how it's broken up a bit. And take note of something very interesting over here is these little modules down here, which we'll come to just now. So if we break down the specs of what the Pearce C9 is, we know its manufacturer is a Pearce. The model is the C9. The specs is it's a fighter class. The class itself is capital, and then the tech or which faction actually mainly made this and so on is mud. Now over here as well we can see the size charts a little bit, the length being 400, the width being 168.3, and then the height being 86.2. Now this obviously indicates this actually is larger than the Guardian, the Calico Guardian, which is actually pretty insane to think about. So over here we can see a little bit more of like the components that are coming into play over here, and just over here alone we can see there's capital power supply, the warp drive, the radar, which we, like I said earlier on, we believe to be this little piece down here. Then we have the tractor beam, the shield generator, the impulse engine, there's thrusters, and then here are the different weapon hardpoints. So we have a capital weapon hardpoint, which is all indicated in A over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, which is over here. And then B is indicated for the large weapon hardpoints, and we have all 4 of them over here. And then here on the side, we can see C, which is the capital, or not capital, the commander weapon hardpoints. So this is a fighter which is going to have so much superiority in firepower over most other capital ships or class ships, shall we say. Over here as well, we can see a little bit of an unidentified weapon. It doesn't look so much like a missile bay, but we can only speculate as of right now. So if we go a little bit more further down the list, we can see one capital missile bay, one capital countermeasure bay, and then one capital full hull reinforcement. And yeah, and then we can move on to a little bit more of the crew over here. So we have one captain, 2 pilots, and 2 co-pilots. Obviously, the reference for having 2 would obviously be for having rotations for those deep space expeditions, so that you can have a rotation between having at least somebody piloting the ship almost 24/7. So then we have 3 scanners, 8 turret gunners, which this is going to be really important. Having turret gunners will, depending on if you have the crew buffs with most of your crew members, you'll be able to have higher, shall I say, fire priority or fire buff, shall we say, in a sense. Like that whole buff that comes with having crew members from the same university applies over there as well. Then we have 1 drone operator, 2 engineers, 1 repair engineer, 1 whole hangar foreman, 1 rescue, 1 tractor beam, and then 1 cargo foreman as well. Now over here in the modules section, we can see 1 large med bay, 1 capital hangar, and then 1 capital drone port. this is very, very important, the capital drone port, because this is in correlation towards what you will need in order to have hull tanks. So earlier on, when I referenced towards the two little things on the side of the Pearce C9 to take reference at, those are the escape pods. Now over here we can see a little more depth as to see how how they look apart from the C9 itself and everything. And just to look at it over here in itself and everything like that, they are relatively large, so they will be able to take not only one individual but also probably more than one. So depending on the size of your crew at that time and everything like that, you'll be able to at least get everybody out. So here we can also see a little bit more of the commander weapon module. So as we saw earlier on, the commander weapon module is on both sides. It is as seen over here, it is on the side over here, and we can just see at the sheer size of it, it's why it's referenced as a commander weapon hardpoint. So over here we can see a little bit of the side view of what the ship looks like, and then over here we can see the overview. And now on the overview itself, we see all of the little what's his name, hull tanks, and then the ammunition, what we think to be maybe say ammunition, because this is what the imaging looks like as on top. So depending on maybe what ammunition you have at the time, these will be able to refill either your weaponry on top, or these will refill the ammunition within the hull tanks that sit on top of your Pearce C9. So another thing to just take a note of as well is this little image right here, which is the cockpit right now. So over here in the cockpit, we see a little bit like some nice broken down imagery that is within the cockpit itself. And over here at the on the right hand side, facing forward section, we see a little object that looks to be, or might be, a countermeasure object. So these little countermeasure objects are obviously going to help with maybe say taking missiles out or something like that might be shot at your Pearce C9, but otherwise, yeah, it's all just speculation as of right now. So if we carry on to this photo over here, we can see a little bit more of just the sheer mass and size of the Pearce C9 cockpit area. So over here we can see a very small avatar or character that is being displayed over here, and if we take it into correlation of just the sheer size of the entire cockpit itself, you can see that this Pearce C9 is absolutely enormous. So if we go a little bit further down over here, we can see a little bit more of the hull tanks themselves. So over here on the hull tanks, like I said earlier on, the hull tanks will require drone ports in order to have hull tanks on them on that Pacific ship. So here on the hull tank, we can obviously see it has like a turret function, and it has these little round circular, like almost leggings, which we believe to be magnets that basically ensure that it hovers close to the hull of the ship itself and be able to just not fly off into space or anything like that, basically. And then on top of it over here, these seem to be what look like maybe say missiles, or they may be a form of energy that supply constant energy to it, so that it doesn't have to be attached to the Pearce C9 the entire time. So over here we can see a little bit more of the imagery and a little bit more of also like the circular little pads underneath the hull tanks themselves, which, as I said before, we seem to believe that they are going to be magnets. So just imagine going into battle over here and you have all of these little hull tanks going around you while you're engaging with the enemy themselves. So I hope this was a very informative breakdown for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And there's still so much more for us to be able to dive into and break down for the future. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.